Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day, the recitation. Gaudi Mahalla Pehla, Adhiatam Karam Kare, Sacha, Mukt Ped Kya Jane Kacha. ऐसा जोगी जुगत विचार पंचमार साच उर धार रहाओ जिसके अंतर साच वसावै जोग जुगत की कीमत पावै रव सस एको ग्रह उद्यानै करनी कीरत कर्म समानै एक शब्द एक बिख्या मांगै ज्ञान ध्यान जुगत सच जागै पह रच रहे न बाहर जाए कीमत कौन कहे लिव लाए पह रच रहे न बाहर जाए कीमत कौन रहे लिव लाए आपे मेले परम चुकाए गुर प्रसाद परम पद पाए गुर की सेवा शब्द विचार हऊ मैं मारे करनी सार जप तप संजम पाठ पुराण कहो नानक अपरंपर मान जप तप संजम पाठ पुराण कहो नानक अपरंपर मान. This message is aimed at yogis, and the word kacha or immature refers to both the yogis and their practice. They're deemed to be immature because despite their practice, the ego, haume, the immature self, if you will, continues to exert its grip on them. You know, we have this very popular and correct perception of yogis being full of anger and prone to sexual lapses. So here, Guru Nanak says, Adhiatam Karam Kare, Sacha, Ped Kya Jane Kacha. Spiritual practices, he says, are fruitful only if awareness of the self within is realized. And how can the immature mind know the secret to freedom? That's the question. At yogic practice, what he's addressing involved what is called hatha yoga, or union by force, a form of self-abnegation through the practice of bodily postures and breathing techniques. And our Gurbani considers these practices as ineffective in developing that inner intuitive awareness of the innate self. The third Guru, Guru Amar Das, in one of his passages, in fact, says this, Adhiatam Karam Kare, Naam na kabhi pai. So all of these external ritual practices, formalized practices, is not what Gurbani condones or is not the Gurmat way. And then the Guru says, Aisa jogi jukta bichare. Such is a true yogi. And such is the true method. Panchamar sach uradhare. The true yogi is one who subdues the passions and allows the true self to surface within. Urdhare, to come out. Such a yogi, Guru Nanak says, has the right way. Jugat bichare. So Panchamare, Panch, we have to be careful, is also used in Gurbani for the quality of excellence, as in Panch Parvan, Panch Pradhan. It is used primarily as an allomorph of 5 and can be used to describe a mixture of 5 kinds, or an extension. And here it points to the 5 senses and the passions associated with them. And the passions, essentially, are the ones that are unregulated in their wild, natural state. And Gurbani lists these as 5. Lust or desire, Kam, anger, Krodh, greed, Lobh, attachment, Moho, self-pride or ego consciousness, Ahankar. So the correct spiritual practice regulates these passions and transforms them. It's the same energy that has to be transmuted. So desire becomes charity, anger becomes contentment, santokh, greed becomes compassion, attachment becomes morality, dharam, the sense of what is correct, and self-pride, ahankar, becomes self-awareness of the har within. So the practice that we need to adopt is that will transmute these passions into virtue, if you will, manifest as virtue. जिसके अंतर साच वसावे जोग जुगत की कीमत पावे. The method of union is successful when the true self is made manifest within. And this self reveals that the essence of oneness is what permeates the sun and the moon, and the same essence fills the home, the body, and the forest and the wilderness. And praise and adoration of this self is true a daily yogic practice. Rav Sasa eko greh udyanne karni kirat karam samanne. So to all of these spiritual practices, on one side, the Guru says, karni kirat karam samanne, is so the practice of praise, kirat, adoration, that equals all the other practices. And the yogis were accustomed to wandering around begging for their food, and the Guru has something to say about that. He says that a yogi who knows the right method begs only those alms. He begs for the alms of what? The word, shabad. Ek sabad ik pikya mange pikya, alms, donations, charity. Gyan dhyan jugat sach jagya. When attention is brought to bear on the message of the Sabad, dhyan jugat, then the mind awakens in self-knowledge. Sach jagya. पैर रच रहे न बाहर जाए, कीमत कौन रहे, live alive. Here the Guru talks about remaining soaked in awe at every moment. Which often translated as fear, but in the opinion of this translator, awe and reverence come closer to the emotion that Guru Nanak speaks of. Awe is the gateway to bliss, to Anand. So he's saying, Pair rach rahe, stay soaked in awe, wonderment. It's a magical universe out there. Bahar na jaye. Don't let it stay within that sense of awe all the time. And for someone who is in that state and always centered, what can we say about those who are immersed in that kind of awe? कीमत कौन कहे रहे, live alive. So it is inexpressible. Ape mele param chukaye, gur prasad param pad paye. By the grace of Guru wisdom, find union with the self and dispel all self-doubt. Reflect on Guru wisdom and follow its guidance. Gur ki seva sabad vichari. To dissolve the ego, haume. Haume, mare. This is the proper practice. Karni sar. Gur ki seva sabd vichar. Haume mare. karani sar. And in the end, kaho Nanak, aparam paraman. This is the second line, but I'm reading it first because I think what the Guru is saying is to make the self the support of one's life or the guide of one's life. Kaho Nanak aparampar man jap tap sanjam part puran. It is equal, it is the essence of all spiritual practice, whether it is jap, whether it is tap, penances, whether it is disciplines, whether it is reading of scripture. All of these practices combined are the equal of the yogi who has the right method, which is who lives by the support of the self. On that note, until the next time, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.